Hey,
Hi,
David, how's it going?
Levy. If you're watching
Hold on.
this, your UAC Atlantica guitar riff works so nicely in the chorus of Megalovania that I'm just gonna use it.
Okay, yeah. So
What is that
anyway,
behind you? Are those doors?
the,
What's
the
behind
these big
you?
things right here.
No. The brown stuff.
Yeah, these guys right here, right?
No. The other stuff. Are those doors?
Doors. Oh, like the big wood things. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Those are. Yeah. I mean, this is my recording studio. Is like a tiny box. Like, take whatever you have and divide it by four, and that's probably the space that I have.
What are you
Uh,
using to monitor?
I have two Dyn Audio Mach 2s,
Okay, cool.
BA5s or whatever they're called. What do you got? I can't really see from there. They're sideways.
Adams,
Oh,
the
yeah, they got the little
A77X.
the gold thing. Yeah, I was like, I've seen those before. Is that a cello back there? You a cello player?
Yeah, right there.
Oh, so cool.
I'm gonna post something next week. This other game I'm working on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chill in it. I got to process it, and that was fun.
What are you recording it
Yeah,
with?
I got a bunch of condensers, and I have a ribbon mic as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
super,
if you ever
super
need a
cool.
ribbon mic, dude, the
Yeah.
Fathead, this shit is like, I think when I bought it, it was years ago. It's like $250, and this thing is
Whoa.
amazing.
It's called
It's amazing.
a
It
Fathead?
holds up against like some of the best ribbon mics. The ones are like $1,000 and up. I was using that for the cello,
Yeah.
but I processed it so fucking hard that it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. How long have you been playing cello?
Like a year.
Oh, you just picked it up to do it. Yeah. I don't know if people bring this up, but I think about channeling my inner Jason Graves sometimes and just
Yeah,
collecting
dude.
like any possible thing I can think of to make
It
music.
is amazing.
Yeah.
It looks like he's building a new studio.
Oh, wait,
I
is
don't know
it?
if you're following him on Instagram, but yeah, it looks like he's building something huge again.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's if you don't mind, there's a
Don't.
big thing in the middle, the very middle of like underneath your monitor. I've been seeing those in photos, but what is that? Is that the nope, up higher.
Keyboard?
Got the big knobs above the keyboard. Up higher. It's got some knobs on it. Keep going, keep going.
This.
What's that?
That is my Overstayer modular channel. It's a processing unit. It has an EQ, a compressor,
Yeah.
and a harmonic distortion generator
Yeah.
section. And it's modular in the sense that you can change the order of things as the audio comes in. You
Yeah.
can hit the compressor first or whatnot, and you can take certain things in and out. And you can also, you have like a wet dry knob on each of the sections.
Oh, super
It's
cool.
sick.
Yeah.
Dude, it took so fucking long to get it.
That's
Yeah.
not the thing that you grouped a bunch of groups together and you sent it through and it's like an analog mixing summing.
Yeah, the summing mixer.
That's what that is. Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it's not. That's just a compressor. The
Gotcha.
summing mixer is over here.
That guy. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
big guy.
Yeah.
But everything goes through that.
Gotcha.
Like, I got my audio coming out of my Apollo,
Yeah.
and it gets sent into this guy. Like I have 8 stereo tracks
Yeah.
and group stems, whatever the fuck you want to call them. I have all the drums going out to like 7 and 8, and all the guitars to 1 and 2, and synths 3 and 4, whatever, 5 and 6, and all that like just goes out to the back and plugs in here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Ooh.
and it gets summed in here, and as I get like a stereo output out of that,
Yeah.
and that goes into my patch bay over here.
Gotcha.
And from here now I have the signal, and I could send it into wherever I want, essentially.
Oh, whoa. Okay, so that
Yeah.
patch bay is connected to a whole bunch of
The
stuff.
patch bay is connected to every pedal you see here,
Yeah.
and
That's
the
so
synths,
cool.
and the Lyra, and this guy.
I was
So,
like, how does he do this with like no wires? It was like everything's so clean. And
I
that's the
used to,
secret right there.
believe
It's
it
all
or
in the
not,
back.
but like when I was working on Doom, I did not have a patch bay. So I would just, I had everything plugged in into just the inputs of my sound card, the Apollo.
Yeah.
And I would just change the output within Cubase to the appropriate output on the sound card, which was connected to any one of these. But the problem with that is I would overload like the preamps and the outputs pretty fast.
Gotcha.
Like the signal, I wouldn't be able to really saturate these guys. It would come, I forget what the fuck it was, but
Yeah.
something wasn't working right. So I got the patch bay, and now it's so easy. Like anything can go into anything, and
Yeah.
the gain staging changed completely on that as well. It's just, it feels more organic and a lot easier to work with.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've been thinking about that a lot as somebody who's like getting into like the baby modular situation. You know, I got like a
Yeah.
couple, and like all of a sudden my cable management is just terrible. And I'm like, I have like 3 modules. Like, how is this so like unmanageable? And then
You
I
find
see
yourself
stuff like
using
that.
them a
I'm like,
lot?
what's that?
You find yourself using them a lot?
Yeah, and I use them for our project too. It's funny, like when you sent the first stems over, I was explaining this to somebody. I was like, I've heard soundtracks before, but you always hear them in a single unit, right?
Yep.
You always hear everything together as the final product. And then as soon as you get all of the pieces of something, like I kind of was thinking about it like, well, this is similar to the stuff that David did with Doom. I've never heard these sounds not stacked up together before. And I went, oh, that's how that stuff gets made. I didn't like, I just never thought about it because you don't hear it out of context.
Yeah.
So the minute that happened, I went, first of all, I'd be doing us a disservice if I just did everything in the box because that stuff that you sent over, it sounds great. And I tried to make some sounds that were kind of inspired by the stuff that you sent over. Like I wanted to see if I could aim for that type of workflow. I was
it blended really well.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
It's, a couple of sounds when I was going through, I'm like, was this mine? Like, so it was great.
That's what I was hoping for. Yeah, and you know what? It was the thing that I learned that helped a lot was I don't add enough noise in a lot of my stuff. Everything sounds really clean. And then when I heard the first section of the song you sent over, I was like, this is so noisy. There's like so much extra stuff going on. I was like, it sounds great though. Maybe I should do that more. So that was the first step. And the other thing is I tried to use some more, like I have a reverb effect and a couple of other things. I was like, maybe I'll try it coming out of the hardware instead of actually doing it, in the box like I usually do. And those were some of the sounds I sent over. They were pretty much just like right out of the hardware. I EQ'd them. I sent them back. Like it's amazing. Just working with people who have done stuff that you don't think about, just getting a sense to see the inside of it. The things, just the inspiration and the learning just comes so quick, It's
the best.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Working with people like absolutely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't really get to work with too many people. In my profession, like just as a composer, I'm just the guy that's doing it. Even when I was working with Andrew and Doom, like I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but we worked completely separately.
Yeah.
We didn't get to work at anything together at all.
It's so interesting that everything was like kind of cohesive when it all came together. Like you can tell that there's two different composers and you have your styles that are slightly different, but it didn't sound like the soundtrack was super divided between both of your stuff. So I'm wondering like, how much room did you both get to kind of embellish on the Doom sound and do your own type of thing versus it being really rigid?
We talked to Chad, the audio director, and essentially him and Marty and Hugo all saying they don't want a Mick clone. That's not why they hired us. I would love to be able to do what Mick's doing. Guy's fucking brilliant. Right. But I don't want to. First of all, it's a disservice to everyone involved and all the fans and all that because Mick, this is his sound. Right. All I can do is essentially what we're told is stay respectful of what you're doing to the music that came before us and we can put our own spin on it, and that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
But just be respectful to that and make sure that it does match with everything else that was done before us.
That sounds pretty open-ended.
It was.
Like, here's what we have. We want something close.
Don't bring in strings and taiko drums. It's like the Doom sound is a lot more than just a good mix.
Once you were, I guess maybe you had a little less anxiety after you're like, okay, I got it. I can calm down. I got to focus. What?
Well, no, not really.
No, never went away.
Anxiety was much worse after I heard that I got the gig.
Yeah.
At that point, like, you're just looking at a mountain, but my God, I got to start like kind of break everything down slowly. Just kind of honestly, just kind of going through it, kind of chipping away at it.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge for me was writing it in a modular form. I've never... I've heard of it. I've never done it before.
I mean, your experience is mostly what, television, where things are like structured out?
Mostly film and animation. You get a scene and you put the sound set and right away if it works or not. That was a big challenge with Doom. It's like there were a couple instances when I wrote stuff and it sounded great, and then I would always test it against game footage, and I would put the track in the game footage and I'm like, no, it's too fast or it's too busy. And there was an instance too, I wrote stuff for more like the first ambient music pieces that I wrote. They sounded good, but later on, once I start writing the heavier stuff, they ended up sounding way too slow.
Yeah.
So the whole thing had to be like chucked out and then start again on that. So that happens.
What kind of guitar were you playing?
Look behind you.
The Allegator? Like this one? Oh, sick. I remember you saying something about never getting above a certain tempo in the soundtrack stuff for Doom.
Yeah, like 93 to 96. 106 or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Except for Atlantica, I think like the ambient stuff was like 130 or something. Just kind of move it faster.
Yeah. And that was to like make
yeah,
sure it worked in
90s seem
context.
to work great. Yeah, because you have the subdivision, so in a sense, you're working in much higher tempos. If it's too fast, it's like a sensory overload.
Something I am personally curious about, and I'm sure a lot of other people are curious about, is like, you know, once you did start punching out songs and getting more comfortable with like the doom sound that you were hoping for, what did that workflow look like?
Honestly, like just mangling the sound as much as I possibly could. There's a lot of sound design that went into it, like just really crafting each sound. It doesn't matter what you throw at it, there's always room for more, which was so much fun. It honestly kind of like working on this game really ruined me. I mean, there's so much sonic possibilities with Doom. Can't go back.
Seriously.
The key, and I think the secret, is a lot of running shit really hard through tubes.
Gotcha.
If you can. That seemed to be the key for me. And a lot of compression and a lot of upward compression. There's a plugin on the market that came out recently, the Argent compressor.
Oh, come on, David.
I think it's
shameless plug.
It was just fun. It was just like finding a sound, and the sound, by the time I started it, from the moment I started, and by the time it was done, it sounded nothing like what it was in the beginning. So it was really like taking like the most basic, anything from a sine wave to I don't know what, just running it through all the equipment and seeing what you could do to it and what's going to come out of it. And it's super exciting. It's super fun. It's super nerdy. And then the flavor really changes depending on the synth that you're using and the gear. A lot could be done with plugins as well. There's nothing wrong with using plugins. I've got a lot of sounds just for plugins. So
Totally. It's like a lot of, I mean, guys like me, mostly plugins. Most of the people watching probably mostly plugins too. And there's good tube stuff out there too. Like, I mean, it's obviously like a real tube is going to change. It's a little different.
It sounds different. Yeah, you get more depth, you get size, you get warmth. But you know, like if you're like a UAD user, Universal Audio stuff, like their Vulture Culture emulation is fantastic.
Yeah.
You use the crap out of that.
Yeah.
Output has something that I used a lot as well, called Thermal. But yeah, there's plenty of plugins out there, really. I had a big problem when I got out of Doom. I was working on like a fractal-based film. I was in a habit of just destroying sounds. I couldn't get out of it for a little bit. Doom is such a unique thing to work on.
Yeah.
It doesn't really translate very well to other things. These Metasonics things, like I tried to fit them in other projects after Doom.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Like just the amount of noise these things put out, like with nothing running through them, is just, or even the littlest, like the lowest thing that you can run through it in terms of volume, like anything ambient or anything like that. There's so much noise. It's just almost unusable.
Seriously, is this how most hardware tubes are? Like, I would assume, like the tube distortion stuff.
No, they're all fine, but these things are just insane.
Yeah, gotcha. They're just meant to be.
It's like they're
so
meant
noisy.
to Doom. They're meant for like they just demolish sound. That's what they do. They can't do anything else. I desperately try to get them in other things. I just couldn't, and I was very sad about it.
They're impossible to find. Like these sound destroying pieces of hardware. And people are gonna.
You can find them, but you better be ready to pay like $4,000. Don't. I mean, Don't do that. But you have something there, right? Which ones are you using?
Oh yeah, I've been getting into it's like Toolscarn. It's a French company, and they make these little tubey modules. They're pretty cool.
You like it?
Yeah, it's cool. It's a little more reserved. It's one of those like kind of all-purpose tube modules, but if you really crank it, you can get a lot of the good stuff out. Like,
that's good.
And it's that and the Game Changer Audio plasma drive.
How's that one?
That one's cool. It has a very specific sound. Everything you put through it is going to sound like your sound plus plasma.
Electricity?
It doesn't really, it's not like a guitar pedal where like the input sound kind of is transformed. It's like, it just kind of sounds like something being electrocuted no matter what it is. So the way that I think about it is like, if I want to add a bunch of extra noise, that's not a bad one. So there were a couple of sounds that I made for this project where I sent it through that to get some like the high end noise. And then I had a fundamental that was much lower. And then I ran it through a bunch of reverb. And then you get these like nice, noisy, washy sounds, right? So, but the raw distortion that comes out of that plasma drive, it's not, I don't find it tasteful. I just find it noisy.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. It's a one-trick pony.
Exactly. Right. And it does that trick really well. It's like the Metasonic stuff, you know? Then this tube distortion here, It's better. Like you turn it down a lot, you get that nice warmth. You turn it up, you'll get some crackle, but it's not. It doesn't have any like what's it called? Like no ring mod. It doesn't do any filter stuff or anything.
No
where,
character.
Like, no, it doesn't really change the character much. The knobs on it don't. But it's not gradual. Like it pretty much coming out or going in. Like if I send a sine wave through it, like it's gonna sound distorted pretty much right away. It has like a lowest level of distortion, which I'm okay with, because if I wanted anything less than that, I would have probably just used a piece of software. It's the interaction sounds that I like the best. So like, first of all, as you turn the knob, you get totally different sounds, which I think is sick. And that's like the nice thing about hardware as a new hardware guy.
Yeah.
And then sending different stuff, messing with like the bass, for example, if you push a lot of sub through something that normally has a lot of high end, or you swap it and you push a ton of high end through that, would have had a lot. You get these totally different interactions with the tube. And then as you move that stuff around and as you filter that, the tube kind of sometimes just doesn't know what to do with it. And then you get out these super weird sounds that come out. That's the stuff that I like, because the software is too precise and I don't get that artifact.
Unpredictable.
Exactly.
Yeah. Funny story. Like when I was like maybe 2 years into composing full time, it was a big fucking struggle. I started like when I moved to Austin, like I knew no one, I knew nothing. I had about 8 to 9 years of mixing and mastering under my belt, and that's about it. I've just written music for fun at that point. And everyone always noticed that whatever it is, when I write music, it's very cinematic sounding.
Yeah.
And I was burnt out, like from like working in studios. It's like really, really horrible hours. I would get there like 11 in the morning, and I wouldn't leave until 4 in the morning the next day. I was struggling for a couple of years. I couldn't really get anything that's worth anything. I didn't have any network. I didn't know anyone. And I remember I went to see the I think I called like the Video Game Orchestra or something. They came here to town after there was like a meet and greet after, and Austin Wintory was there.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, and Alex Brandon and Tony, whatever, the guy that owns the whole orchestra thing.
Yeah.
And I remember like going up to Austin and asking him like, what do you do to just not give up? Because I'm at that point, like nothing's happening. And he said something to me that still to this day resonates. And he was saying that don't stop, because you never know when something is going to click. And that was great advice. Well, I just kept pushing. Yeah. Eventually something did click. I made sure that whatever little project I worked on, the music always ended up on SoundCloud, and I kept like updating my reel and whatnot. And eventually a producer from Rooster Teeth was looking for a composer here in town, and my SoundCloud came up, and he just left it on in his office all day. And by the end of the day, like he sent me an email, and that's how I got my first bigger gig, like working on Red versus Blue.
This must be a boring interview for your cat.
He only wakes up when I play heavy stuff. My God, when I was working on Imora with the metal choir, my mother-in-law was like downstairs with the kids. She must have thought I'm a Satanist. Yeah. Like the shit was coming out of my speakers for weeks on end.
Oh my God.
My God, man. It was I had to go down like it's just for a game.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
look at me.
Yeah. Like it's a Satan game, but like it
is. Yeah. Have you seen the blood that I ordered from Amazon?
Yeah, right.
I need it for my production.
Yeah.
I've only been in this. This is the biggest, most elaborate setup I've ever had. You should see like what I started with. I probably have a picture somewhere. It was like in the first apartment we lived in for like 3 years. There was like a little nook with a built-in desk and cabinetry. And I put the speakers inside cabinets, and my computer was right there. That's awesome. Like in the desk, and the screen was in the screen and the keyboard, and the computer was like underneath me, and that shit would get so hot and just blow hot air out of my crotch. My workspace was like this big. I think I have a picture, and the cats are like laying inside the cabinets above me. It was fucking wild. I had to open up one of my sound cards a few months ago. There was like 30 inches of white hair in there, all over the components inside.
We've been talking for a while. We have so much good footage. I think like we've talked for an hour and 45.
Oh really? Shit.
Yeah, it went by quick, huh?
I just realized something. That should be your next offshoot, like interviews. You'll have to get one of those expensive ass cameras that everyone uses.
Yeah, man. Thanks again, man. This was the best 2 hours that I've spent this week. So this is I really appreciate it. Looking forward to those videos, and we'll talk soon, dude.
All right, man. We'll talk soon.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night. Bye.